Hey everyone, what's up? Thank you for joining me for another YouTube video discussion. You know me, it's hard sometimes for me to come up with videos to talk about. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to say that's different from anything that, somebody else that's on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, or you choose your social media platform of choice? What am I going to say or do that's different from them? So, with that in mind, it gets hard for me to choose sometimes what I want to talk about because there's just a lot of stuff that I'm like, yeah, I want to talk about this, but it's only going to be like 2 minutes long, and I don't really feel like that's something that deserves a fair shake as far as the video goes. Now, I could make it, and who knows, I might just start making short little 5 minute videos just for the sake of throwing stuff out there, even if it's just, just a little, hey, I was just thinking about this in my head. I'm making a real quick video. What are your thoughts? That might be something that happens. Because I really do want to throw more content out there, honestly. But it's just hard for me, especially when I want to give a significant amount of time. Like, I want to try to do at least 10 minutes and not ramble like I am now. Does that make sense? So, but with that in mind, let's go ahead and get into today's video that you obviously clicked on to watch. All three of you that watch my videos, I appreciate it. So, with that in mind, I want to talk about Nintendo. Shocking, I know I'm basically a Nintendo channel at this point. But, see, they shut down the Nintendo Network lately. And it's kind of sad because it's the end of the era, but what I wanted to discuss or do, or I guess make a plea for in this video, is Nintendo, please bring back Nintendo Network. I mean, one, it worked for you, right? I mean, we have the PlayStation Network, we have Xbox Live Gold, or, now Game Pass. But it worked for you because it was a logo, and it's something that could transition over. See, with Nintendo Switch Online, it makes a ton of sense for Nintendo Switch, but moving forward, if you decide not to call the next system the Switch, how does that work? Do you change the name again? Nintendo Network can transition over. Because see, just like with PlayStation Network, PSN, it doesn't matter. They can call it the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 6, the PlayStation Vita, the PlayStation Orbit, the PlayStation whatever they want to call it, and it works because it's on their network. You see what I'm saying? And regardless of whether you call it, the Switch Attached, the Switch 2, the Switch Pro, you call it Dolphin, you go some weird name again, whatever you decide to do, it still follows you because that is your branding, the Nintendo Network. It's under Nintendo, and it transitions over. So one, I would beg you to continue to use Nintendo Network, only because it worked. I think that was the best era that Nintendo had. I mean, first of all, it went to the 3DS, and it went to the Wii U. So you had one account for both consoles. And it could continue to go forward. If you have a Switch, next console after that, can just continue to move forward. Even if you decide, you know what, we don't want me support anymore, that's fine. You don't want Miiverse support anymore, that's fine. I would make an argument for Miiverse, though, as just some kind of a social media post directly on the system. Because both Xbox and PlayStation have that. And I know Nintendo's going to do what Nintendo's going to do, right? They're not the kind of people they're not the kind of company that goes and copies other people. But what I'm saying is that when you have the Xbox, right, where you can take a screenshot of something and make a post on it and all your Xbox friends see it, and I don't know if you have Discord connected to it, if the people in Discord see it as a post also, but what I'm saying is when you have, like, an activity feed on PlayStation that says your friend recently started to play this game, got these trophies, blah, 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 blah. Why not do that with your consoles? Have it just be an activity feed that's right there in the front, and it's called the Miiverse. Even if you don't call it the Miiverse, maybe you call it an activity feed. I don't know. But still, give us the option of like, hey, here's a really cool moment from the recent Mario game that I played. Take a screenshot of it, post it, show it to all your Switch friends, show it to all your Switch Pro friends, however you want to do it. That's what made it cool. Was like, it didn't matter if I was on the 3DS or the Wii U, I could see Miiverse posted. Even Miiverse had its own website, so even if I was to log into it, I could still see people's posts that they made of games they were playing. I'm like, yeah, that actually does sound like a pretty decent game. I'm going to want to give it a shot. So I would make a case for it, even if you don't continue to use the name, right? Because I understand that with Miiverse, there was a lot of usage of touchscreen. And maybe you don't want to continue forward with the dual screen, touchscreen aspect. But at this point, I say keep it also because, I mean, technically the Switch has a touchscreen. It's not really utilized a lot. I mean, there's not a whole lot of games that are just like, yeah, you have to play this in portable mode using the touchscreen only. There's not too many games. I can only maybe name one, and that's Voice. There might be another one that I don't know of, but I'm just saying it's not like this big feature that we're hearing about on these Nintendo Directs. Like, this game only uses the touchscreen. But it's nice to have for games like, what is it? I think Smash Brothers used it for stage creation. So did Mario Maker and stuff like that. It's great to have it in there for those games that do use it, and for people that play their games in portable mode. But it's not a big feature, so if you decide not to use it, no big deal. But even so, even if you wanted to, it's like, hey, but if you happen to have it portably, you can also draw and make little edits to your photos and like circle Bayonetta's head and just say quirky or something, whatever you want to put on there. You see what I'm saying? And I think that could lend to a lot of great posts. We have to be careful, of course, with the internet age. We do have some people that will probably take it to an inappropriate level. But I'm just saying that it could potentially be there. And also, just because of the fact that the Nintendo Network allowed you to have a username and not a friend code. You might have had a friend code in there. That was like in the sub part of it. But otherwise, you were known by just your username and not a friend code. But what did we do when we went back to the Switch? We went back to friend codes. If I want to add you, I have to have your friend code. I can't just be like, I know this person's username, like I do on PlayStation and Xbox and every other platform that I can think of, and I just add them. I have to know the specific friend code, which means I have to get this long number in order to add them. And that just seems kind of going backwards. And if we're going to go backwards, back to the days of the Wii and the Wii U and the 3DS, then we might as well just use Nintendo Network also. And it just makes sense, especially if your next console is going to be the Switch attach. Like, if it's going to have a second screen anyways, you might as well have some kind of a touchscreen functionality in there. And I just... Maybe not the incarnation that we had before, but I'm just saying that if I was to make a case between Nintendo Switch Online and Nintendo Network, I feel like the Nintendo Switch Online is the poorest implementation that we've had so far. Because we went from, I think it was called the Nintendo Wi-Fi Network. I think it was just called WFC or something. Wi-Fi connection or something like that. On the DS, to actually having a full-blown network, which seemed like, hey, it's going to be a full-blown network like PSN was back in the days when it was free, to now we're moving back to the Nintendo Switch Online, but now we're paying for it, and it's like, okay, well, that's cool. We'll have to see how it's implemented in the future. Maybe they'll bring all this stuff back, and they're just going to continue going forward with the Switch name, like, in perpetuity. But just because I know Nintendo will sometimes switch. You know, Game Boy, DS. Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube. They switch the names up. I think it's easier than rather than having to go, well, you know, now it's not Nintendo Switch Online. Now it's the Nintendo Dolphin Network, going by the code name of what the GameCube was, just as an example. Or just going off of whatever the name of the console is, rather than having to switch it up and cause confusion, just call it Nintendo Network. You can even call it Nintendo Plus. I'd be okay with that. You have PlayStation Plus, you have Disney Plus. People usually think of Plus as being, this is in addition to, you know, something else. So you can easily have some kind of like a free version of Nintendo Network, and then you have like Nintendo Plus or something, and it's just that's the paid subscription that gives you access to all the stuff that you had in Nintendo Network before, plus it gives you the expansion pack and it gives you the Switch Online. And this is just me. Please make it one app. That's all that I ask. It seems like when you came out with the Nintendo Switch Online app down in the little corner part of the Switch, that should have taken you to everything. Because, I mean, if you go in there, right, and you say launch game or whatever, it takes you to the app, and if you say, oh, you know, you're looking through the list of games and when they launched or whatever, it's great that you have that, and it launches the games from the app, but if you don't have it, you have to download the app. It just seems like it makes it easier to make it like a Netflix-like thing, where it's just one app, and you go across NES, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, and you just go through all the consoles left to right based upon the release year, and then you choose the game you want to play. Or if you want to, you can have categories going down, like action games, platformer games, puzzle, and yeah, I can find the genre that I want and play it. It just seems like it's an easier thing to make it one app. And the Nintendo Network app could then encompass everything that you want to have from all these separate apps, where it's like you can have a online connection to see your friends and what they're playing. You can send them messages through the Miiverse, as I just mentioned. You could... I just had it a moment ago, I'm sorry. But you could see what they're playing. You could send them messages. You could even set up parental controls. Instead of having its own separate app, you can just say, this person is restricted to this, that, or the other. You could remote into the console and use it almost like a secondary controller in a way for simpler games, of course, that would use like Just Dance as an example, or Everybody Want to Switch, that uses the phone as its own separate, that can use its phone as a separate controller. You can do all kinds of stuff with it, and you just have one app instead of, hey, here's a parental app, here's a Switch app, here's this, that, or the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, just make it one app. It seems to be simpler. But that's just me. I've gone over the 10-minute limit. I just wanted to throw some ideas out there. And what do you guys think about it, of course? Because these are all my discussions, right? All my videos are basically discussion videos at this point. I'm not throwing out any kind of, like, oh, you have to do it, and I'm not being angry about it. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be cool to do this? And I think, honestly, it would be better for Nintendo. I understand it's the end of the era, and we're done with the Nintendo Network. But I don't like the Nintendo Switch Online either. Like, it's just something that feels like it could have been so much better than what Nintendo Network had. But instead, it's like it's kind of just gone back. It's kind of gone backwards. You know, like, it's not as robust as what Nintendo Network felt like when you had one username across a whole entire account, a website you can get access to, and that went over to multiple accounts, and you had the Nintendo, what was that? Was it some kind of Nintendo shop? You could get points or whatever, and I got a cool little tote bag out of it, but you could get like backpacks and stuff like that. And now it's just kind of like, it's kind of meh now. I don't know. It just kind of feels like they regressed. I feel like that when they had the Miiverse and all stuff like that, that it was a much better thing. Like even the Wii U and the 3DS had ways of getting notifications. They had little lights that came on and said, hey, you got a message from somebody, or hey, you got an interaction from somebody because you met them through Street Pass, as an example. Or we got a little notification from Nintendo, so the Wii U light is going to glow. Even the Wii had the little light on the I don't know what you'd call it, but the place we put in the disc slot had little LED lights around it, where basically you'd get messages from people, and you'd be able to see, hey, here's notifications from Nintendo, blah, blah, blah. But they don't do that anymore. Like, if I finish a game, I'm not getting a little notification from Nintendo like, hey, congrats, you beat another code, or you beat this game. Here's a little celebratory thing, like congratulations of all the Mario characters or whatever. They're not really doing that anymore. I'm not really getting notifications like that because you don't have a notification system, because you don't have a messaging system. But you had that on the Wii, and you had that on the Wii U with Miiverse, but there's a light on the Switch, and the only thing you can use it for is to set up alerts for Ring Fit. That's it. That's all that I know of. It's the only game that allows you to use the light is to receive alarms to let you know it's time to play Ring Fit if you set it up. That's it. But it's the kind of thing where you could easily be like flashing if a friend comes online, or you get some kind of a notification from a followed channel or something. I just feel like there needs to be a little bit more of a robustness to this, and hopefully the next console has it, because I understand how Nintendo is. They do this all the time. They have a failed console, and then they kind of pull back on the features, and then when they get a successful console like the Wii, they figure we're going to go nuts on this one, and we're going to have it do this, that, or the other. So maybe the next Switch, now they have a successful console again, maybe the next Switch, the next Nintendo console, is going to go nuts with its online, is going to go nuts with its messages and its themes and its notifications and all the stuff that it has. But as of right now, after almost a decade of the Switch, and even the Wii U didn't really have themes either, but the 3DS did. So, I mean, that's just something that feels odd too. But themes and photos aren't really that big of a deal at the end of the day. It'd be nice to have them, but they're not as big, I think, as having a communication system. But I get where they're coming from, and I get the reasons why. But ultimately, I kind of wish that Nintendo Network had carried forward and just evolved into what the Nintendo Switch Online is now, and kept all that cool stuff. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just my opinion. Actually, that is just my opinion. So I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever that is, whatever that's going to be. Hopefully you enjoyed this content. And if so, stick around for the next video. Go back, watch some older videos. And I'll see you in the next one.